All right, and we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the live stream on this beautiful Saturday morning. And thank you so much for stopping by and having a conversation with me today on our live. We have a really great program for you guys today. A lot of great conversations, a lot of great posts and questions on the community tab. As per usual, if anyone's in the chat, let me know if you can hear me. That would be the best thing, just so make sure that we get all this tech stuff out of the way. If you have noticed, I'm not really in my usual studio. I've been traveling a lot recently, and I didn't have a chance to go back to my apartment for this live today, but shouldn't be a problem. Still got the microphone and using my MacBook Pro, and also have a little bit of ring light situation going on. So, going back to basics. Brad G says, hear you good. Excellent. Thank you so much. George Morales, thank you for giving the thumbs up. We do have Sendo, who says he's live and also is letting me know sounds good. Thank you so much. Just to start out, I know that the title of this is Business Class Worth It. And Mason did leave a comment a little while ago saying that to get outsized value of any credit card points, people say to book business or first class ticket, but I'd rather use the same points for 4 economy class tickets. Yeah, I think it depends on what you're looking for. If you want more value for the points you get, in terms of that, business first class is the way you're going to get that. But functionally speaking, if you're a family of 4 or you just need to get somewhere and do that in a kind of more volume based approach, then economy is certainly going to be better. And so thanks for that question. Manuel Jimenez is in the house. He says, yes, I hear you. Wonderful. Juan is here as well. How's it going, everyone? Good to see you, Juan, this morning. I guess for you, I think it's the afternoon. Kevin West, where are you right now? Well, I'm actually in Sacramento. So I typically fly between Southern California and Northern California, and today I just happen to be in Sacramento. I try to schedule these lives when I'm at home back in Southern California, but sometimes it just doesn't work out, and this is the first weekend where that was the case. Ian Mascal in the house. Good morning from 36,000 feet. Excellent. Well, I'm glad that whatever airline you're flying, they have Wi-Fi that's good enough to do these live streams, so that's fantastic. I don't know if you want to drop in the chat, Ian, which airline you're flying, just for my data point. I'm always curious to see which airlines have the capabilities to stream these live streams. Obviously from where you're flying from. Sendo says if the flight is 7+ hours, he's doing business class 100% of the time. I think that's a very fair statement. It's the longer you are on the plane, the more value you'll get out of that business class flight, because it's something that depends on, a lot of things. But I think for the biggest thing is how much time you get for that ticket you paid for. And if it's a long over the sea, like over the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean, then that's going to get you a lot more value than if it was, for example, just a very point-to-point inner U.S. flight. Vincent Pasquale's in the house. Good morning, Stan. Good morning to you, sir. It's good to see you. And then Sando also says premium economy. Juan Miamix agrees with Mason, which is very good. I mean, again, everyone's going to be different with their business class versus economy class situation. James Scahill has a question. How many Bank of America customized cash cards can I hold? Unlimited. From what I think so, I believe that is the case. Unlimited would be the way to go. I don't think you can just keep applying for customized cash rewards cards. However, there are options to get multiple versions. For example, if you get a customized cash rewards, unlimited cash rewards as well, wait a year, product change unlimited cash rewards to the customized cash rewards. That's one way. There's also the Susan G. Komen version of the customized cash rewards card. That's another way to get the same card. That's a different card product, but the same thing. Then if you add a player or two, you can double whatever you're doing. And so there's a way to get a bunch of those cards. So there's a lot of different strategies with that. And so that's what I would say for that question. Ian replies that Delta Free Wi-Fi is the one that he's using. Very cool. He's doing a live stream bonanza today. He did, I believe I saw you, Ian, in Dugraz's live stream this morning, and then obviously Tony had his as well. I had to do a few things this morning before, and then now I have mine. So congratulations, that's awesome. Just pack them one at a time. Sendo also agrees that Delta is here too. DC Gemini's in the house. Welcome, DC Gemini, as well as my man, Spencer J. Now, Spencer J left a very nice question last night. And so we'll have that kind of towards the later part of this episode where I do a lot of Marriott based questions. There were like 4 or 5 of them this time. And so I put them in a group. So it's going to be a really, really nice overview of Marriott style questions. And so I'm really looking forward to that part. And I think you guys will too. Kevin Wynn says, I don't want credit cards overloaded. The maximum credit card, I get up to 10. Totally fine. If you want to be simple about it, I think that's totally good. I mean, not having many credit cards makes your life really a lot easier, especially if they're, just knowingly credit cards and they don't have any statement credits. I also mentioned that I do have a little bit of a cough still from the New Orleans meetup. So I was sick afterwards, unfortunately. I was actually pretty sick. So I still have this residual cough. So if I mute myself and cough, I apologize. I'm going to do that probably right about now. If you see me do that, that's what's going on. I won't let you guys hear that or anything, but I'm still trying to work through that. So I appreciate that in advance. Manuel Jimenez says, if you're trying to get status with United, you need to fly business or first class now and then. I mean, I agree with that. I think, who was it? Call Me Lonnie said you buy like 1 or 2 business first class tickets and like you're already at like Premier Silver. So I can see where that would be the case. And I think that's a great way to go. Mertz Collectible says, big fan of your content. You opened my eyes to the US bar. Thank you. You're welcome. I really love the US bar. I think I've had a lot of people come out and reach out to me saying that, I'm one of the reasons why they recognize this card and realize how good it is. And so that really, really makes me happy to hear that I'm able to take, my experiences and what I think would be the best card for myself, and then have you guys make your own decisions about what that card could do for you. And honestly, the US Bank Altitude Reserve is one of the best cards out there, and it continues to become better just by existing, because other credit cards, they get higher annual fees, they have more statement credits. And so because it's a stagnant card, that is just really hands down one of the best cards to get almost all categories that we have today. It's pretty incredible. BKZK Travels and Shows says it's just about Southwest Priority Pass season. I think you mean Companion Pass. Seeing they had some elevated offers. Would love an update video on that. Yes. So I, as well as Spencer, I believe, are going to go ahead and apply for the Southwest cards soon, because the Companion Pass window is opening up. And what I mean by that is that if you start applying for the Southwest cards after October 1st, you will have that 3-month window to meet the minimum spend requirement to get the Companion Pass points on the welcome offer, and then you can get it up to 125,000, and then that would get you that Companion Pass for 2025 and 2026, provided that you complete welcome offers in January of 2025. And so there is an elevated offer on both. I think it's the 3 Southwest personal cards, the Plus, Premier, and Priority. I think it's the Premier. I might get that wrong, but each one has the same welcome offer available, which I believe is 80,000 points for spending $3,000 in 3 months, which is absolutely completely doable. I will say that, it's interesting that they have the same one for the Plus, Premier, and Priority. If you're asking me, I will be taking advantage of that offer. It does end on October 9th. So you have about a week window to apply for it and get that approved. And then you have that availability to get that done in January of 2025. And it's a great way to just spend $3,000, get 85,000 points, and then you're already maybe 40,000 less to get there. And so you can just pick and choose whichever business card you want to get. But, the question I think becomes, do you want to choose the Plus, the Premier, or the Priority? I would say if you want to go cheap, just do the Plus. It's fine. I personally am going to go with the Priority. And the reason for this is because I know between now, October 2024, and October 2025, Southwest is going to be changing the way they do their seats. So right now they have that thing where they have the ABC group. You kind of do the Greyhound bus thing where you kind of board wherever your position is. They're going to put assigned seating into that mix, and they're going to do it sometime in 2025. And so I'm wondering if the Priority will have a lot of perks for that reason. And because of that reason, I'm going to probably just choose that card, because they'll have to change a lot of the benefits on that card to accommodate that new seating arrangement, or the way choose seats on Southwest, but we don't know what that is yet. And so I'd rather have the highest level card versus the lowest level card because I just fly Southwest so much. So that's kind of like my thought process in what I'm doing with the priority card versus the plus card. I'll probably do a full scale video on that when I do my Watch Me Apply, because that is my plan currently to apply for this card before October 9th, but after October 1st, obviously, because you don't want to shoot your shot too soon, I guess. All right. Okay. Spencer's here. Excellent. I'm glad that you're waiting for the question. And, I hope that you and I both get approved for that Southwest card, because, that companion pass is going to be money. Dalton's here. Dalton asked a lot of questions. He's going to be in one of the sections here as well. Sand the Man, happy Saturday. Happy Saturday to you too, Mr. Dalton. Kevin Wynn says, my family uses Southwest, Alaska, or Spirit. I love Southwest. I love Alaska. I have never flown Spirit and never plan in any shape or form to fly Spirit ever, except if there's no other airlines available, which is never going to happen. So there's that. Filmo in the house. Nice to meet you in New Orleans, by the way, Filmo, you and your wife. It was wonderful to meet both of you, and I hope you guys had a good trip. Happy Saturday to you as well. Louis Maldonado is first time catching you live. Spencer says that he is going to be doing some Southwest shenanigans with myself, which is good. All right. So Sendo says the companion pass timing always stresses me out. AP says Dr. Frog is the GOAT. I appreciate that. I just want to point out, I do have the credit frog here. He's right here. I did bring him with me. The issue is, though, there's nowhere to put him behind me. So he's just going to sit here in the corner on the back. Okay. So just pretend he's there. Obviously you probably could have done a better job with this studio, but it is what it is. Okay. Warren Gamble asks, can I transfer all my points from Sapphire Preferred to my Freedom Unlimited because I'm trying to get rid of my annual fee cards? You can. I think that if you want to transfer those points out to transfer partners, first, I would leave them the preferred and transfer them out first. But if you want to cash back them out for 1 cent per point into your Chase, checking account, whatever, just, either card is fine, but you certainly can transfer them back and forth if you'd like. Brad's confirming what I said. My boy, Cesar Joel, mi hermano, how you doing? Good to see you here. Happy to see you live, brother. And it's good to see you too, hermano. So it's good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate that. David Williams says, New Orleans has always been a pestilential place to help you feel better. Thank you so much. Yeah, there was I never get sick. I get sick. The last time I got sick was in 2019. I know that because the last time I bought Dayquil was around then, and the expiration date was like 2020. And so when I got sick again this time around, I had to buy some Dayquil and NyQuil, and oh my gosh, I was down and out for 3 to 5 days or so. And so I'm trying to get over it. I'm really much better now. My voice is back to normal. I just have this residual persistent dry cough, and I'm just working on it, getting lots of sleep, drinking a lot of water. And so I hope that for any of you who went to New Orleans, hope if you got sick, hope you feel better. I think as you grow older, you realize that you just get over sicknesses less quickly. And so I think that's part of it too. Not saying that I'm super old or anything, but I think I'm definitely older than when I was in my early 30s or even my late 20s. And so it just takes a while for me to get over these sicknesses, but I appreciate you guys bearing with me here. Anthony Moss says, hi, Stan. I just tuned in. Did you talk about the Amex Hilton elevated offers? Seems like they're recycling offers really quickly. What are your thoughts? And so, yeah, I'll kind of dive into that real quick. I didn't talk about that quite yet. So I personally like the welcome offers, the Hilton cards, when they have that free night award. That's the one I'm really looking for. Obviously, if you're looking for Hilton elevated offers with the elevated points, and I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, certainly that's reasonable. I think the Surpass one, I looked at it briefly, it was pretty good. But the point is that when you look at American Express, they tend to have a lot of elevated offers all the time. So when you miss one, it's okay. You can just wait for the next roundabout because it'll come back again and it'll be no problem. And so that's what I would say with that. If you feel like you want a Surpass or an Aspire card and you haven't had one yet, I think it's a good a time as any to apply for it. I personally, for me, I haven't had either of those cards yet, but I'm going to wait until I get the ability to get a free night award with my welcome offer, because I can use those for a much higher redemption than what's I could get with points. And so that's kind of the way I see it. And remember, when you get the free night award 1, 2, you also are able to get points with that as well. Not as many points, but typically those ones combined together give you the best Hilton welcome offer. So that is what I would say for that. So Filmo says companion pass is the best deal in air travel. Saved us thousands of points and cash. Excellent. And I'm looking forward to doing that myself too. Right. And so Ian Mastrella says he had a digital key for the Waldorf, no upgrade, and right by the elevator. Sad times. Well, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, right, Ian? Eric, folks in the house, morning brotini, listening for a bit while getting ready for our Tokyo trip. Ooh, Tokyo, that's exciting. I remember that I think you may be hitting up some places in Tokyo that we talked about in the past, and hopefully you have a great time. Please, let me know how it goes because I will be heading there to Tokyo in about a couple months from now for my honeymoon. Super pumped, super excited, and so I feel like that's going to be really, really awesome for you and your wife and your family. So, best travels, Eric, and hopefully you have a great time in Tokyo, Japan. RemGB says, excuse me, Stan, keep up the good work. Of course, I will always do so, RemGB, and thank you so much for your contributions and comments to me. You always teach me new things as well, so I appreciate that a lot. All right, and so where are we here? This is Chris in the house, always saying W, I guess, for the win. So thank you for being here. Yuri G's in the house. Good to see you, Yuri. Also nice to meet you in New Orleans as well. Squirrel Messiah says, our companion passes for only one flight per year. So the companion passes are for a lot of flights. So I think you may be referring to the one by Alaska. That is only one per year. There's a companion fare, but the Southwest Companion Pass actually is for all Southwest flights the entire year, as many as you want to have them. So as long as you purchase a ticket or redeem a ticket, and then you add your companion on for $5 and I think it's 20 cents or $5.10 or whatever the TSA fee is, they'll fly with you for free. So the more you fly, the more valuable this becomes. And because I fly super often, this is going to become a very, very nice benefit for me. And I'm really hoping they don't change the companion pass when they do their whole seating arrangement changes, but we'll have to see. Hopefully we can just lock it in and then, have it for the 2 years. And if they decide to do away with it, I'll have it at the very least. Frugal Dad Finance says, I really get sick too. Bourbon, cigars, and coffee do the trick. Yes. So I don't drink coffee. I don't smoke cigars. I do drink bourbon from time to time. When I have a sore throat, sometimes I do drink alcohol for that reason. This is not like me recommending anything from a medical perspective, but I feel that it does help clean my throat and make it less sore. But I didn't have a sore throat this time around, just real sick and persistent cough. Spencer J says, same Stan, New Orleans hit me hard too. At least we all got together. Yeah, I think there was some bug going around and we just all caught it. But now we're all set to go and hopefully we're all set for the winter time. Squirrel Messiah says, I did a red-eye 15-hour flight Taipei to Paris with melatonin patches, arrived rested. Very good. That's a great strategy to use those things that help you sleep. Standard Seal Coating says, you helped my family travel well these past years. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad that you're able to use my content and help you live your best life and travel the best way that you can, which is awesome. So Kevin Wynn asked, what do you think about the U.S. Bank Smartly credit card? And I will put a video out on this card probably in late October after it comes out, just because there's so many unknowns. I believe that it's supposed to come out in October 23rd or 21st or something like that. The main thing for me is this. If this card, which has no annual fee and there's no cap to 4% and there's no foreign transaction fees, I'm going to get this card. It's just a great card to have. Now, to ask for all those things is going to be a stretch, especially knowing that the US Bank L2 Go just put back onto its card foreign transaction fees. So that's not a good sign. And we all remember what happened with the US Bank Shopper Cash Rewards card. It looked good when it first came out. Like you looked at it like, oh, it looks okay. But then you kind of did the math with it with the 6%, with the $95 annual fee. And like, actually, it's not that good. I have a very strong feeling it'll happen with this Smartly card too. Like we're going to think it's good. And then when it's released and we think about it critically, it may not be as good as we think it is. And so I hope that's not the case because I'd love to get this card as a 4% catch-all card, but we'll have to see what they do with it. This is US Bank's chance to do the right thing, right? And so we'll see if they do the right thing. And so that's what I think about that kind of fast pace. But again, I'll go ahead and do a full review on that card once it actually comes out. Okay. Vilmo escaped sickness free from NOLA, which is good to hear. I'm glad that that happened to you, but unfortunately, did not happen for me and some others. Okay, so we have a lot of other comments here. Let's see. Let's see if I any other questions here. Dalton asks, "What do you think of the Alaska and Hawaii Airlines merger?" I think I'm kind of neutral about it because I don't fly either Alaska or Hawaiian. Both airlines will keep their brands, which is good. However, we do know that the rewards programs will collapse into one eventually. So I think this is a good opportunity to get a Hawaiian card from Barclays if that's something that you want to do, because Hawaiian miles are not as powerful as Alaska miles. But if the Hawaiian miles become Alaska miles, then you have a really good situation going on. And so for those of you who fly Alaska, I would suggest you get a Hawaiian credit card while you still can, because that's going to be really, really helpful and powerful. And I have no doubt in my mind that the Hawaiian miles will probably become Alaska miles in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully in a 1-to-1 ratio. If not, then that's kind of unfortunate, but we'll see. That's what I think about that. All right. So we have some more stuff going on here in the chat, and Matt Clausen's in the house. Welcome, Matt Clausen. Thanks for being here. Also good to see you in New Orleans. Smartly Cash is Schrodinger's card right now. It's both amazing and probably not a good fit for everyone. I would agree with that. I think one of the things that I believe it was Robert that said, who are my community members, I think it's a great way for you to get a 2.5% free, no annual fee card. Because if you put 5,000 in the savings account, which is not unreasonable for a lot of people, you could get that 2.5%. Now, to get a reasonable APY of 4.1%, you're going to want to put at least 25,000 in that savings account. So there's that part of it too. In that case, if you think that the 5,000 is better put elsewhere, you may want to put that in like an Alliant credit union for that Alliant Visa credit card for that same 2.5% cash back. But you already know that card has no annual fee, no foreign transaction fees, and there's like limit of $10,000 per month, the 2.5%. But like, I mean, that's fine. I don't think most people won't spend that much anyways. Ian Masjal has now joined as a new member. I really appreciate that, Ian. Thank you so much. Memberships are live on my channel. They only cost $2.99 a month. And it's really a great way to support the channel. And so I really appreciate that, Ian. And thank you so much. Of course, I always value the comments from the members as well. I try to respond to those as fast as I can. Let's see. Where was I here? So traveling with LV is in the house. Good to see you, Vince. It was great to see you in NOLA as well. I am doing better now. Still have that dry cough like I mentioned to you before, but it was really great to see you and hang out with you and your lovely wife. So hopefully we can go ahead and hang out soon as well. And we're looking forward to Puerto Rico 2025, hosted by my man, mi hermano, Cesar Joel. All right. Christopher asks, should I rather go for a second Marriott Brilliant card or go for a Ritz-Carlton Chase card? So we had a thing with that with me and Uncle Luke in his live stream I think it was a week ago or so. So we kind of discussed the difference in the Brilliant and the Ritz-Carlton Chase card. I personally think if you already have a Brilliant card, you just go for another. I would recommend going for a Ritz-Carlton card, only because I don't think there's a reason to get two Brilliants unless you want that 85K free night award, but you can get that same 85K free night award on the Ritz-Carlton for a cheaper price because the annual fee is $200 lower on the Ritz-Carlton base. And then if you do kind of all those statement credits, I think the effective annual fee becomes $350 on the Brilliant and $150 on the Ritz-Carlton. So you're still saving money getting the Ritz-Carlton card. So I would only get the Brilliant again if you already have Ritz-Carlton. And I honestly think you just need one Brilliant. And if you want to get multiple Ritz-Carlton cards, that's probably going to be a better way, at least the way the Ritz-Carlton card is right now. Okay, let's see where I'm at here. Vincent Pascal has a question. When product change in Boundless to Ritz-Carlton close to the end of the calendar year, what would you rather do? Wait until you get the 35K cert or PC right away to get the extra 300 flight credit? It's a good question. I would say that you could probably get better value from the $300 flight credit if you use the whole flight credit. But it's going to depend on your situation. If it was me personally, I would probably wait to get the 35K cert, only because I would probably be able to use that more than I would be able to use a $300 flight credit. But everyone's answer is going to be different. Okay. So let's see here. I think we're good. We have some other questions here as well. But what I want to do is I want to start on the presentation now, just because we're kind of about 20 minutes in so far. And so go ahead, and what I'm going to do is open this guy up. And so thank you so much for all the questions, by the way. I think it's been great. We had 10 excellent questions. And of course, it's going to be live polling. I think there's 2 polls in this particular presentation. So if you want to join in, this is what you want to do. You want to go to your phone or whatever computer and go to menti.com and enter this code or scan this QR code. And what you're going to do is you're going to be able to do the live polling as we're doing this. And the first question I have up actually is going to be about where you guys are from. So I'm going to put this banner on the bottom so you can see what that code is. And I'm going to switch over to this guy. And I want to know exactly where exactly are you guys watching from. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in my phone first to get myself all set up. And once you're set up, you're set up. You don't have to enter the code again, and you'll be able to live poll all the way through. And so you're going to drag your button to wherever you are located. I'm going to go ahead and try to put mine as best I can to where it is on this map. If you are international, I'm sorry, I only include a map of the United States. This is not the way I want it to. Maybe I think that's not there. Sorry, this is not ideal. This is my first time using this map feature, so I'm going to try to get. That's pretty good. I'll submit it there. Okay, so we got Northern California, we got Oregon, we've got Alabama, and we got Florida, we've got New Jersey, and we have Boston, or around Boston, Massachusetts. Excellent, outstanding. Also, you can click the like button on the slide as well, so I know that you're here. Some more people coming in. We got some around Southern California, Central. Looks like maybe, I don't know, that Monterey Bay in California over there. A lot of New Jersey's. Is that Connecticut? No, not Connecticut. Good. So we got a lot of people from the coast and maybe some from the South. No one from the Midwest quite yet. Oh, we got some New York. We got 2 from Tennessee. Some people from Massachusetts, and Arizona has popped up and is in the house now, which is excellent. More Californians. I love that. Love to see that. Someone from New Jersey has popped up too. So that's really cool to see exactly where you guys are watching from. No love here from the Midwest until now. Looks like someone's in between Iowa and Illinois. It's east of Chicago. I want to say, now my geography in the Midwest, and I apologize for this, is not quite as good, but the person between Missouri and Illinois, is that around St. Louis? I think so, but I'm not entirely sure. But that's cool. But it looks like we have a good smattering of people from the East Coast, the Central time zone, as well as the Pacific time zone. And so that's super cool. So now you guys are all kind of locked into that. So we're good. We will start going into the rest of the slides here. So I do want to quickly talk about what had happened with my business class experience and my thoughts of that. So I would say that I'm someone like a business class novice. And the reason why I say that is because I really don't fly that often. So I've flown once last year in Delta One because I had some miles from Delta, and I did that. It was fine. Then I flew JetBlue Mint this time around. I had the pleasure of being in Boston for a medical conference, and then I was able to fly back home to Los Angeles on JetBlue Mint. And so JetBlue Mint, for those who are unfamiliar, is a first-class product that's really kind of, I would say, one of the best in the domestic airline industry. It's got a lot of, like I said, residential touches. They've got refreshing takes on premium travel experiences. This is a picture I took when I was at the airport early in the morning that day I flew. We have a special line for yourself where they can tag your bag with Mint, and they actually, when your bag comes out on the jetway or the baggage claim, it comes out first, which I think is a pretty cool thing that they do. And so they're actually, when you look at the Mint, options, there actually are 2 options that you should be aware of. The first is, let's see here. The first is that there is a new product versus the old product. So if you look at the screen here, you can see that JetBlue Mint, and it's really hard to see because of the way the text is, but on the A321 Neos, there actually is a new product where you have 8 seats on each side, and you really get your own slot. They're kind of the classical way you would think of business class, where you have your own seat on your own side, you have access to the whole area. You also have a Mint Studio at the top at A1 and F1. That's $200 extra, and you get a little bit more space. I'll show you a picture of that in a second. There's also the old product, which is the A321s, and those ones are actually in a 2-1-2-1 configuration. So you can see that there's like a throne seat, for example, in one row. But if you're flying with somebody else, you can fly next to them, and that's the ideal because I hear that when you're next to someone, it's not super private, although there is a barrier between those seats. And so I was able to fly on the new product. This is just a picture of from the website what they look like from the new Mint versus the old Mint. But certainly when you're booking these flights, make sure to choose the one that is better for you. I personally think that for myself, because I was flying alone, that new product was the one I wanted to use. And so this is a picture of the Mint Studio. So the studio is here, and you can see how there's a seat on the bottom left there. But the next to that seat, there's another seat where you can have someone come in and join you in that other seat, which is pretty cool. So you can have lunch with them, you can have your meal with them, you can like watch TV with them if you want. There's a lot of cool things you can do in that Mint Studio. Very big. I also want to point out that across from the TV, there's this cabinet. So on the left side of that TV, you can see this little like locker there, and there's actually a big storage locker. You could put pretty much a backpack in there, which is pretty big. So that was pretty cool too. That's an option if you have a lot of stuff, which is pretty sweet. So this is what I had. I had seat 2A. Those are pictures of where I was at. So you can see it's the new product. You have a whole row to yourself. You have a little bench for all your stuff. This middle picture is me stretching my legs out completely. You can see that there's plenty of space. I would say between the end of my shoe and the actual like footwell, it was about 6 inches to about 8 inches of space. Now, the reason why there's so much space is if you lean your chair back, your feet will start being pushed towards that footwell. But as someone who's kind of an average height, I had plenty of space in this seat, almost more than space than I needed, to be honest with you. And you can see kind of on the third picture, that's what it looks like when I kind of took a picture behind me, and you can see how there is a lot of Mint seats behind there as well. Spencer J says, I'm jealous of y'all. I want to try out Mint one day, and I guarantee you, Spencer, you will. It is quite the experience, especially if you fly, cross country or what have you, or to Puerto Rico, like Matt Clausen says, where he says, I plan to travel on Mint to Puerto Rico. And he also says he's excited about the JetBlue Lounge coming to JFK, as well as Standard Seal Clothing says there's a new Mosaic Lounges set to open at JFK 5 in Boston C. Yes, that's exciting because that is really going to elevate the JetBlue experience. And they also mentioned that email that they sent to all their Mosaic members that they are also going to get a premium JetBlue credit card too. So we'll have to see what that looks like too. That's going to be interesting. Matt Clausen already is on that, obviously, because he's the news guy. He's cautiously optimistic about it. He's also concerned about Barclays, which I would also be concerned about too. I'm sure you heard of the whole thing, Matt, about American Airlines and how they are trying to move their Barclays card to Citi to have a unified system. So then if that were the case, I think Barclays left with JetBlue, Frontier, and I think those are two. I don't know if they have Spirit or not, but they're not going to have a really great flight catalog for that. And so, anyways, moving on with this, they had an amenity kit there. The only thing on the left I didn't show was the eye mask, but they had like hand cream, they had mouthwash, they had lip balm, they had like a face mask, some earplugs, some socks, which I did use, by the way, very comfortable. As well as when you first kind of start flying, you get a drink. You also get a croissant, which is warm and delicious. And so I had this. I actually had about three to five of these over the course of the flight. It was a mint condition with no alcohol, which I thought was delicious. It was a seltzer, ginger, lime, cucumber, and mint. And so I highly recommend that. Definitely delicious. Ian Mascal asked, did you go to the Chase Lounge while at Boston? I did not. My flight, I believe, was at 6 a.m. And so I was like trying to just make it there and then leave. And so, and remind you, when it's 6 a.m. in Boston, it's like 3 a.m. on the West Coast. And so it's like super early. And so I was not in the mood to just like try to figure out a lounge situation. I was just like, let's get to the gate and just go. And so that was my situation. Kevin, thank you. Yes, Spirit is with B of A. That's what I thought. I just want to make sure. Okay, so the next thing was the in-flight meal. This is the in-flight meal that I had. You can't really see this, but maybe if you watch the VOD, you can zoom in on it. But basically, you choose 3 of the 4 options. Spencer, if you're still here, what I think I like about this menu is I thought of you because you have multiple food restrictions. They list the things that are gluten-free, like vegetarian, like et cetera, et cetera. And so they do a good job labeling things that are what you want to eat from a dietary perspective. And so I thought that was really a nice touch. I had the blueberries on the top right, as well as I believe it's the yogurt on the bottom right. We had maple bacon, which is a side you just order alongside the 3 main dishes. And then I had the waffles on the top left. Delicious. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Delicious food. The one thing I would say, 2A was a great seat. The one issue I had is if you look at this picture, you can see that you can have a straightforward view of the galley, and you can see how there's like a light, like a LED light that's kind of poking out. It doesn't show up well in this picture, but it was exceedingly bright. So if you were to look up at that galley and when they dimmed the lights, that light was always on. And so looking at it was like kind of painful. And so if I were to redo what I did, I would actually go to 3A or behind just so I didn't have to look at that light. I was not looking at it the whole time. It was fine, but I think that would be the only thing I would say I would change where I was sitting from 2A. I believe 2F has a similar situation. I don't think you can see a light, but I think you basically look at the flight attendant and their seat. So if you want to like have more privacy, then I think 2F doesn't have that issue too. So 3A, 3F, and behind is probably what I recommend, unless you want to do the 1A, 1F for the Mint Studio. Those are what I would do if I were to do that again. All right. Would I fly again is the big question. And so this is what had happened with my flight. So originally, I was going to fly home with my wife from Boston because she was there with me. And she and I booked both economy flights on JetBlue. And then about a couple months before the trip, she said, actually, one of my friends is having a bachelorette party. Do you mind if I fly to Miami from Boston instead? And I said, okay, that's fine. And so I'm not going to say no to that, obviously, but that means that we had to switch our flight around. And so I canceled both of our flights. I got a JetBlue credit, a flight credit. And as you guys know, I fly mostly Southwest. JetBlue is one of those like once in a blue moon situations. And so I was like, what am I going to do with this flight credit? Because it expires in a year or 12 months. I'm not really going to fly JetBlue really that often. And so I basically took her fare and used it for my fare. And it just so happened when I booked this flight again, it was very cheap at a little less than $800, which is really, really good for a JetBlue Mint seat. And so I used my existing flight credit to book this flight. And I looked at other flights the same day. It was like $1,500 for the next flight, and it was $2,500 for the midday flight. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna suck it up, get up early, and just do this Mint thing for less than $800. $800, by the way, still a lot of money. I'm not gonna like say it's cheap, but it certainly is cheaper comparatively to the other Mint products that day. I'll also say that the economy flight, I think it was around $400 as well. So it wasn't like it was twice as much money, but I think the experience was a lot better. I would 100% do this again. It was a great experience. However, I would not spend more than $1,000 on it. It's just something that I wouldn't do. Economy for me is okay because I'm not a tall guy. I don't have a tall build or anything, or a big build. And so I actually have a lot of space in economy class, and I can suck it up for like, I think this flight was 5 hours, so that's fine. I also wouldn't transfer points for it if I wanted to do it. But if I had a situation like this come up again, I would do this again. So that's kind of what my thought on that would be. And so that was kind of like my experience on business class. I don't know if you guys had any questions or comments on that, but I want to move on to Uncle Luke's question. So he actually asked a really fun question here, and we did a live, a couple weeks ago, and it was a really great live. And check it out, definitely, you haven't before. But he asked me, Stan, in order to continue using your U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve and other cashback cards, would you forego earning any or all transferable currencies? Excuse me. You would still be eligible to earn airline miles and hotel points in addition to cash back. Note, this means no. Amex MR points? No. Chase UR points. Cash is king? No. So his question is, if you want to use the US Bank Ultra Reserve, you have to get rid of your other flexible point earning cards, but you could use other cashback cards and you could use co-branded airline and hotel credit cards. And I certainly have an answer. But before I give my answer, I want to hear your answer. So why don't we go to the poll here? We're going to go to menti.com. I'm going to move this slide over. The question is, would you give up your credit card transferable currencies in this situation? And so that's the question I want you guys to ask. And so, by the way, please hit the like button if you're getting value. We'll appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. And here's the code to join if you'd like. And so we're going to go ahead and start the polling now in 3, 2, 1. So would you give up your transferable currencies if you could only use cashback and you need to use the US Bank Ultra Reserve? I'll also join and submit my vote as well. Let's see what we got going on here. Looks like it's about half and half. Looks like people seem to like their transferable currencies more. And so looks like transferable currencies are for the win here because it's now 2-1 when it comes to the voting, that people would not be willing to give up their transferable currencies for cashback cards and co-branded cards. And I think that's certainly very reasonable. It looks like Spencer's saying, nah, give me my UR points. And Yuri actually has another opinion that says, usually when I have to choose between AR and preferred, I choose AR. And I would have to agree with you, Yuri. I do the same thing myself, having both of those cards as well. Matt Welcher agrees with Spencer. By the way, good to see you, Matt. And definitely good to see you. And hopefully you're doing well. I haven't talked to you in a little bit, but yes, he is the same as Spencer, who would definitely want to have his UR point. So you can see here that most people would not want to give up their transferable currencies for that reason. And I think that's certainly valid. And I think that's certainly cool. But what I would say for myself is that, yes, personally, I would give up all transferable currencies for the US Bank Altitude Reserve card and hotel cards. As you know, I don't really do the airline credit card thing, but the hotel cards are still cards I use a fair amount, not for purchasing, but mainly for the benefits, which include things like free night awards. US Bank Altitude Reserve is one of those cards that I use for almost everything. And so it's been a really great card for me. And if I couldn't use that card, I would be very, very sad. The reason why I would say that is, what is my goal for me personally for transferable currencies? I think a lot of us need to ask that question for ourselves. So some of us use Chase URs to, go to Hyatt. Some of us use URs, for international first business class or other transferable currencies. MR, same situation. But for me, I'm looking at the way I use transferable currencies. And for me, it's really to redeem first and business international travel only. I don't use them for any other purpose. I actually store and stockpile them so that when I make that hopefully once a year international trip for myself, I'll have enough to, really just be able to get that done. And for me, just the experience from booking my honeymoon, I know there's Saver Awards, there's award flights that you can buy for cheaper or get for cheaper if you time it correctly. I'm one of those people that I'd rather spend my time doing something else. And so I know that's not what you want to hear from someone who's redeeming points, but I would much rather redeem my points for a confirmed flight than, for example, a Saver flight with a waitlist availability. I know that happens a lot on those Asia flights. And so that's my perspective. If I had a chance to spend more points to have a confirmed flight and not to deal with the switching around and trying to figure out like what, waitlist, not waitlist, I would prefer to go that route myself. And that's the personal preference. Everyone's going to be different about that. And so that's just kind of for me. And so also, for that, I can use my Amex MRs for that, Chase URs, my built points, Could I redeem UR and built for Hyatt? I could. I don't really stay at Hyatt because I stay at Marriott's and Hilton and IHG properties at this point. So that's really, what I would do for that. Chad says he's with me on this one. That's good that I'm not the only one that has this idea. Matt Clausen says, but UR can be cashed out at 1 cent per point too. It can, but the thing is, you have to run like a trifecta, or you have to run some kind of nonsense thing with a bunch of different cards. Whereas I can just do all of my spending on one card and give my wife one card. I'm like, just spend on this card and do this with a mobile wallet, and that's it. It's so simple, right? And be like, no, you gotta like activate this Freedom Flex. You gotta like do it for these categories for October to December. Then 3 months, I'll tell you what the next one is, and then like I gotta like use this unlimited card, unlimited for like this cash back for everything else, and then you want to use a Chase Sapphire. It's like very confusing. It doesn't seem confusing to a lot of us that are in it, but when you start to involve people that in your family and that are not involved in it, it gets very overwhelming to them, and honestly to me too. And so I'd rather choose a simplistic approach versus alternative, knowing that URs are inherently more valuable than the cashback that's going on. So there's that. RemGB says Chase is a glorified cashback setup, especially if you have CSR to book any and every travel you do at 1.5 cents per point. I agree. You're a big fan, RemGB, of the 1.5 cent per point Chase travel portal redemption, and so I think it's a great move. And so that's one of the big keys for that card, and that'll come up into play, by the way, Spencer, in your question when I answer it and get to that question. And so the next thing is, for me, first business class, it's nice, but like we said from before, I wouldn't spend 10 grand on it. So I would only be able to access this type of redemption or type of first business class flight with redemptions. I would never spend money on it. But to me, it is a luxury item. And the reason why I say that is because if those of you who are average builds like myself, like you don't really need that much space, right? You can go to economy, probably premium economy is better idea, but I don't have any like space problems sitting in an economy class seat. Is it kind of fit? Yes, it's a little fit, but can you handle it for a lot less cash or whatever? I would be able to do it, in my opinion, at least for now. I know Uncle Luke has a completely different take on this, and he just never wants to fly long term on a longer flight in economy anymore. I'm kind of the opposite. I would have no problem with it. For myself, I consider first business class to be a luxury item, and so if I can afford it with my transferable currencies, then that's perfect. If I can't, then I'm not, and I'm not going to be that sad about it. That's going to be kind of the way I say about it. Yankee Man says you're not tall. No, the thing is, a lot of credit card creators are super tall. Like I feel like myself and like Tony and like Calby, like we're not all the same height, but like everybody else is like 6 foot tall, and so it's insane. And I don't know why why that is, but for whatever reason, credit card creators tend to be extremely tall, at least 6 feet. But I'm unfortunately not a part of that gene pool, so I didn't get that benefit. But in the same rate, it makes it easier for me to fit in economy class, and so I have that on those other taller individuals. Matt Walter says, I'm right on the fringe of having space problems in economy, at least in terms of leg space. Yeah, Matt, I know you're a little bit taller than me, and so I can see where that can be the case. I will say that on most economy class flights, if I sit straight up in my chair and I just like don't put my legs out, I have about 6 inches of space between my knee and the back of the chair. Now, if the person in front of me leans back, that's a different story. And I always hope to the almighty whoever that they don't do that, right? But once they do that, I'm not the one that's be like, you can't do that because it's on them. But I think it's just my opinion, by the way, on that topic is that it's super rude to lean back in your chair. That's just my opinion. I know people have very strong opinions on that, but when you lean back in your chair in front of me, like I just don't have space anymore. It's like in my face. And then I'm forced to lean back my chair to the other person behind me. And it's a whole cascading effect of just impoliteness. So there's that. Okay. So Spencer's 7'6". I believe it was 6'7", but 7'6" is also cool. Daniel is a tall dude. That bro is tall. Also really cool dude, by the way. Met him in New Orleans, and I'm sure you all did too. That were there. Great guy, but super tall. I love what Squirrel Messiah says. There's a circle in hell for people who lean their chairs back. I do not like that either. So I'm glad you and I are on the same page, Mr. Squirrel Messiah. All right. CJ Bautista says short kings. That's right. The you and me. Nicholas Olivares says, I'm 6 foot, about 200 pounds with sciatica. Issues to try to get business, but for flights about 3 hours less, I can do economy. Yeah. Sometimes when you get older and you have those pain problems, then I can see why having that space is much, much more important. So hopefully you're able to, get that business class seat so you can have a more comfortable experience. Yankee Man is 6'3", so leg space and economy is not good. No, it definitely is not good for someone who's 6'3". So it's good to know that you can deal with it to save thousands. Yeah, that's the thing. These seats are expensive, so really using points is the way to go for that. Okay, and so moving on. The issue with having transferable currencies is, like Uncle Luke says, you have to go to work, right? And so if you look at the US Bank Altitude Reserve, if you use the card in a certain way, which is mobile wallets, and if you redeem the card the points in a certain way, which is real-time rewards, you have a easy to use system where you're earning 4.5x back on all your purchases. It's very simple. Is it the best? No. Is it really good? Yes. Is it really good for one card? Yes. And so that's why I think about that card. That's very simple. If you use transferable currencies, you earn them, but then you have to figure out how to use them. And the issue is that these cards tend to have rising annual fees, not to name any issuer in particular. You're getting more and harder to use statement credits, right? Because that's happening too. And the issue is, and we all talk about this, credit card companies, when you pay those annual fees, they already have your money. You have to go to work to get it back. And the level of work you have to do is going to depend on your definition of work. Because if you are, don't have a lot going on and you have time to have a spreadsheet or whatever organization system you have and you do it and it's fine, it's fine. It's not like a big deal. But I guarantee you 3 to 5 years down the line, it's going to start wearing on you and you'll have credit card statement credit burnout, like I have talked about in my videos before. And so that's just a part of the cost you have to pay in time and I guess in money too, to use a flexible point currency. And so Ian Mascal says never an issue. I think that's great. We all have our own opinions on that. I think that if you can handle it, then that's great. You'll get a lot more value out of the credit cards if you can handle it. But if it's just driving you nuts and you'd rather do something else with your time, then I feel that simplicity is the way to go. Ian also wants to mention that he always leans his chair back. That's why we have the same chair with the same abilities. It's mind-blowing to me that people think it's rude when flying the early nights. I feel like that was never an issue. Yeah, so that's fair. I think that everyone has very strong feelings about the leaning the chair back. I personally think it's rude because I never do it myself. Some people, they always do it, so they think it's normal for them. So whatever someone thinks is normal is going to be what they think is going to be norm. I never do it because I want to respect the person behind me. But then some person does it in front of me. I'm like, well, they only kind of care about them. That's not the way I see it. I want to care about those around me because I know that we're all kind of small in a tight space here. But I understand some people have medical issues, some people have space issues, and so it's not a easy to solve situation. It's just important to know where you stand on the issue and go from there. Yuri G says some seats can recline. I believe those are like the ones. It either is the emergency row or the one right in front of the emergency row. I can't remember which one it was, but I wish all seats had that. If I'm being totally honest with you, but we'll, again, here we go. That is something that is, obviously a thing to think about. Okay, so let's keep going here. Again, value simplicity, reserve, lots of value, not a lot of work. I don't need to redeem it for international business class often. That's kind of me. The thing is, I spend money every single day on average, right? Almost every day. And so getting a cash back on everything I spend is great. And so I don't mind having that. With the other cards, you get flexible points, you build them up. You may not redeem them very fast because you have to build them up to get that redemption. And so you're not redeeming the points, you're not doing the earn and burn situation with points as much. Maybe you are, but I think cashback, the majority of people will earn and burn because there's no reason to pool your cash back if you can. By the way, fun thing you can do. I always play this game with myself called, and it's not really a game, but we'll just call it a game anyways. How long can you last without spending any money, right? And so this was a lot easier back when I was single. I think my record is 15 days where I didn't spend anything. I went to the grocery store for like 2 weeks or something. I got 2 weeks worth of groceries, and I just like hammered all that and just did nothing for like that 2 week period, and I had a really good month that month. Less easy now that I am married, but I think so far my record has been recently around 5 days, which is pretty good. Doesn't always happen because then you have like sometimes these subscription services come in, they ping you with that charge, and so that kind of counts too. So, anyways, try it out. You'll be surprised how much money you can save if you kind of put your mind to it. Okay, so when we get to hotel cards, because part of the question was about you could use co-brand on cards. The nice thing about these cards, especially the ones in this picture, is that you just holding the cards enough, right? So you have the Boundless, the Business, the Brilliant when it comes to the Bonvoy cards, that has the Anniversary Freedom Award. You have the Aspire card, which has that Freedom Award, and you have the IHG Business and Premier card that has that Freedom Award that comes anniversary as well. These cards also have statement credits too, but it's a necessary evil because if you just hold them and just use the statement credits, you can get positive value. That being said, a lot of us have different stances on travel. Do you want to travel for free completely, or do you want to pay for travel? So some people want to not spend any money on travel, or spend as less as possible, which is good. I don't mind paying for travel. I think the big thing is that I like to spend as little money as possible when I travel, right? And so if I can get some kind of free award or some kind of like points redemption, that's really good. I would be able to do that. And you can do that with hotel credit cards, right? You don't need a flexible point currency to do this. You can just use a straight up hotel credit card, which with whatever hotel that you want to stay with, and that would work out just fine. So there's that. And so that's how I'm feeling on that. I'm going to go back now to my pretty face. And so that was that answer for Luke's question. Hope that was helpful for a lot of you to kind of figure out what you guys really feel about flexible point currencies. I think I have a question here. Stan from CJ Bautista, what are your thoughts on getting multiple point currencies from multiple issuers? What would you say the max amount of points programs should you be a part of? And so what I would say with that, and I think, Spencer and I had a talk about this a little while ago, but I know his thought is to have a diversity of points. I think Uncle Luke has the same opinion, where it's just, you want to have a diversity of points. You want to have as many points as possible across multiple different systems so that you can have the flexibility to redeem them to what you want to redeem them for. I have the opposite of mindset. I think you should have as little as possible, but enough that can cover your spread, right? And so if you start to have Amex, Chase, Wells Fargo, Citi, Capital One, and you start to spread all of your money across all of those issuers, it becomes, you can't really get enough points to do something real. Now, of course, if you apply for the cards and use welcome offers, that is one way to get around that issue, because you're just applying for cards within those ecosystems and getting the welcome offer, which gives you that big bolus or big group of points back very quickly. And so I can see from that perspective how that will work out. But in the end of time, eventually, you'll come to a point where it's just going to be a lot of things to manage, and you'll have to figure out which one of these flexible point currencies have similar transfer partners. I know Aeroplan is one that is kind of very common to a lot of them, or Air France KLM is common to a lot of them, so you can kind of start pooling them together. I agree with Ben E and what he said. Basically, he said he has 3: Amex, Chase, and Capital One, and I would agree with that. I would say that's what I would say. Oh, well, kind of like credit cards, 3 is a good number. I think personally I have 4: American Express, Chase, and Bilt. No, I think I have 3. Just kidding, I have 3. So I think that's reasonable to have. But then not only that, there's also hotel credit cards. I have a lot of those, so I have a lot of hotel points. I have Southwest points. I have US Bank points. I have Bank of America points. And so I have a lot of points that are not transferable, but I still have to deal with them, right? And so that just leads to more complexity, and the more flexible point currencies, that adds additional layers of complexity to what you already have, right? And I want to say, Fly with Rookie is a new member. Thank you so much for joining the membership. Appreciate that so much. Again, I really try to do the best I can for the members, and answer your comments first and kind of get you into these questions as best I can. And so definitely appreciate that so much. Thank you so much, Fly with Rookie. Yurichi, is Marriott an ecosystem? It is an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem within itself. And so you can't, because you have points in there, you have to spend those points before they have any value. So from that definition, it is an ecosystem. It's not a complicated ecosystem, but it still is one. And you could transfer Marriott points like United into other places too, but don't do that because it's usually a dumb idea. But again, every ecosystem has its own pluses and minuses. There's flexible ecosystems versus non-flexible ecosystems. But yes, I believe that Marriott is an ecosystem. Phil Greasy says too many points currencies can be exhausting, and I would also tend to agree with that too. SPG was an ecosystem, but Marriott reduces earn from 3 to 2 points. They did do that. I mean, that's what you call being bond void. But again, still an ecosystem, not a great one, still there. That's why I try to lean on the Freedom Awards kind of more often. Squirrel Messiah says, would it make sense to cycle systems over years? I think that would be something you could consider doing. I mean, once you get one, I think it's nice to just have it available. And so, for example, if you were to get out of American Express membership rewards points, if you have the Blue Business Plus, you can still have it available, having access to it, but not actively use it, right? And so that's one way to do it. It depends on your own personal situation. I know for me, I just like evacuated all of my Marriott points recently, and so now it's still part of my point systems, but I don't look at it anymore because I know I have 5,000 points or something very low in there, so I can focus on the other ecosystems now that I have to kind of drain those out to get value from those. And I think right now I have about 500,000 of Hilton and IHG points to deal with that. Plus, I think I have 2 FNCs from the Hilton Honors card when I had that welcome offer from earlier this year. Okay, so let's go back to the slideshow because I do want to continue going. This next section is called Potpourri. And Dalton, if you are still in the chat, these are a lot of your questions, which are pretty, quick ones, but quick hits, but good ones. The first question you asked is, what is your favorite and least favorite lender currently, and why? And I'll add an asterisk to your question, and I'm going to say in the context of credit cards, because it depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking for like a banking system, like checking account, savings account, investment account, different types of loan products, that's going to change the way you answer the question. But I want to do this in the context of credit cards. And I certainly have a favorite and least favorite lender. But before I say that, I want to know what your favorite lender is. So again, if you go to menti.com and enter the code, that is the code that you want to enter to be accessing the poll. The question that I mentioned to you guys is going to be, what is your favorite credit card lender? And it's going to be from the flexible point currencies that we had just talked about. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And we are going to start the polling now. So the options are going to be American Express, Capital One, Chase, Citi, and Wells Fargo. And so we're going to see what we got going on. I'm going to go ahead and choose mine as well here. I did not include Bank of America and US Bank just to make it easy because they don't have transferable currencies. But all the ones that are transferable currencies, which is your favorite credit card lender? It looks like Chase has a lot of people so far. They have more than half of everybody else. I see Wells Fargo still gets no love even after all the good things they've been doing. I don't know if Matt Clausen is still here. There's Matt Clausen with the Wells Fargo. All right. I know that he missed his chance last time, so hopefully he was able to get someone for Wells Fargo. So we got 12 for Chase Bank. We get 6 for American Express, so half of what Chase is. Capital One is 2. Citibank is 1. And Wells Fargo is 1. And so I think that's pretty consistent with what what we kind of see in general, is that Chase is the most popular out of all the lenders here. And so American Express is still good, but those two are by far and away the top 2, the big dogs, so to speak. And so for me, that is actually how I voted too. So Chase has now become, it did not used to be, it used to be American Express. Chase has now become my favorite credit card lender. American Express has dropped to my least favorite credit card lender, and I want to explain why. So let's first talk about Chase and why I think it's the best lender. First of all, like we all know, it has the most flexible transferable currency. And what I mean by that is you can redeem them for cash back. You can redeem them for transferable, points. You could do other things with them. But for the most part, if you want to be cash back, you be cash back. If you don't have to get that outsized value from the transferable transfer partners they have. They also offer something what I would call a quote legacy credit card experiences. And what does that mean? Well, as we all know, a certain credit card issuer that I had named just previously has made lots of changes to their cards. What are those changes? It's higher annual fees, more statement credits, more difficult statement credits. Chase has also changed some of their cards too, but they've been very minor. Nothing in terms of annual fees, maybe some statement credit shuffling here and there. But for the most part, they haven't really changed that much. I know that's a point of contention because some people say that Chase should change and update their cards. And I agree. I think they do need an update, especially the preferred and the reserve. However, because they are legacy cards, as in they haven't really changed much, they have now become better in comparison to American Express, which continually tries to drain you of your money, right? Chase has these mid-tier credit cards at $95 instead of the Delta Gold with 150 or the Amex Green with 150 or the Hilton Surpass with 150. Like they've reached this new bar where it's okay for mid-tier to be 150, where Chase still sticks with 95 and $99, for example, on that IHG card, right? And so there's that. They also have a great collection, Chase that is, of branded and co-branded cards. We all love the Chase trifecta. I know, a lot of creators talk about it. Spencer talks about it. So does Matt Welter and everyone here that watches these guys. But, they also have good collections of co-branders. Like they have the Marriott cards, they have the IHG cards, they have the United cards, they have Southwest cards. Those are really good collections. And so that is a part of why I chose them to be my best issuer. I also want to mention that we all love the ink cards. And so as standard seal coating says, those pretty ink cards, that's great. Ian Mascal says, just max my first in cash at Staples and stated the next guy, next guest and a Chase guy. Okay, that's great. Ink cards are almost pretty get rid of the embossing. I agree, Matt. I think from an aesthetic point of view, they should do what they did with the Freedom cards and just get rid of the embossing because that's really stupid. And so I say this to say that the ink cards are kind of the king right now because they are the ones where you spend the least amount of money for the most amount of rewards if you go ahead and utilize the tools that are available to you. So what I mean is if you use a welcome offer or get a welcome offer that is a elevated welcome offer, you're going to get a really great return. So for example, right now the Chasing Limited is 90,000 points for 6,000 spend. I want to say it's in 3 months, maybe it's 6 months. That's really good, right? That's good return on your spend. The previous one, Ink Preferred, 120K for 8,000 spend 3 months. A little hard to do, but if you can do it, very, very powerful, very good. And then if you couple that with that previous 40K referral bonus, now it's 20K, but still pretty good. You can really start to add on top of that and get just a ton of your points. I know that Tony Venture is doing this as his primary strategy, which is a good strategy. And that's why Chase really is the best. And these cards, by the way, as we all know, Ink Cash, Ink Limited, no annual fee, Ink Preferred, just $95. This is a very reasonable thing. There's no statement credits to deal with. You just get a card, spend the money, get the points, move on, right? That's kind of where we're at with Chase, which is, I think, why I like them a lot more now than, for example, of American Express. Robert J says he has no interest in Chase UR, may add a couple of co-brandeds. Fair enough. But as you said before, you have options for co-brandeds, right? So there's really a lot of options for you there. And so, excuse me. The question then becomes, why not Amex? Well, I want to tell you the story about me in a casino. And so for those of you who are degenerates like myself and go to casinos, you know that when you sit at these machines that are electronic, they tell you these, I don't want to say aspirations. They tell you these very positive, happy, things as you are betting your money on the video blackjack or the video craps or the video roulette. And they say really interesting things. So one of the things they say is you need to bet more so you can win more. And they say it in a very nice, they use a female voice. They say it nicely. They say it very energetically, you need to bet more so you can win more. And so it's yes, you can do that, but you may lose more too if you do that. And you probably will lose more for that too, right? I don't know if any of you guys can remember that if you're, in the casino or if you've gone to a casino and you've heard that before. Definitely let me know in the chat if you have heard that before. But I heard it the first time and I was like, what is going on here? So at the same time, we have the same issues going on with marketing with American Express. By the way, this is not just American Express, but I use them as an example. There's other credit card issues that do this too. They say, and this is their tagline on their platinum card, unlock over $1,500 in value with your platinum card. But if you have to, but you have to pay us $695 first. But if you live next to an if you don't live next to Equinox, then you're kind of out of that too. But if you don't use Uber the way we want you to, then you'll get that $10 monthly credit. So there's a lot of buts that they don't put into there. And I think doing that is just not what I want to be a part of, right? And so, do they have good cards? Yes. Do they have very powerful transferable currency? Yes. Do they have, other things that we can like say nice things about? Yes, of course. It's going to be person dependent, but for me, I just don't think I want to be a part of that kind of system anymore. Even especially because there's other systems like Chase, Capital One, Citi, Wells Fargo that can do pretty much the same thing, but to be less annoying about it, right? And so there's a lot of options in the credit card world now, much more even than when I first started this YouTube channel 3 years ago. A lot different alternative ways to earn points, to use points, and so I would just have you just look back at what your flexible point currencies are and just choose the one that fits you the best. If you can handle all the statement credits and get the maximum value out of the Amex Platinum or Gold, which you can do if you maximize all the statement credits, then I think that's great. But if you can't do that, then it may be worthwhile to look at something different. For example, the Capital One Duo or some other luxury travel credit card like the Capital One Mentor X or like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, things like that. And so that's kind of why I would say not Amex. Um, yeah. So Nicholas says, my casino mantra I heard from a gambling YouTuber channel, it's time to get even or even worse. Yeah, that's about right. So don't chase your losses. Not a good idea. Okay. So honorable mentions, again, US Bank, Bank of America. I think those are both of them I have, but I would say that because they're not flexible point currencies, it's kind of more of a niche thing. So if you are okay with cashback, running a hybrid cashback setup like myself, these are good things to do, especially with the preferred rewards for Bank of America, and then of course the U.S. Bank Alice Reserve, and maybe the Smartly card. We'll see. We'll have to come back to this about a month from now and kind of see where we're at. So there is that. The next question comes from Dalton, is kind of a side question. And what are things to look at and for in a new bank? And so for this question, it's really much how do I choose a bank? And so for me, if I'm looking for a new bank for a checking account, then I'll choose that bank. I don't really like doing fintechs just because they tend to overpromise and underdeliver, right? So they'll say, well, you get like this introductory APY of 8% or 6% or something like that. But then 3 months later, they'll kind of cut it and then you're back to like 1% APY. And so you just spent all this time opening your account, putting in money in, and now it's like not useful anymore. So I only really choose a bank if it's a major bank. What's a major bank? Bank of America, Chase, Capital One, Citi, Wells Fargo. Any one of those is fine. It's just whatever you think is appropriate for you. There are also bank agnostic decisions where I don't really choose a bank. I just choose what's the best. And that would be for things like saving accounts and CDs. That's going to be APY percent. And specifically for credit cards, kind of like we talked about from before, I basically choose a credit card that fits what I want the credit card to do for me, right? The credit card really should not be I should choose the credit card. The credit card should not choose me. So if I'm like, oh, I love American Express, I'm getting all their cards, but it doesn't really fit me. I just hear it's good. That's not how I choose credit cards. It's basically, what do I want to accomplish? How am I going to accomplish it? What credit card can I use to get there? What bank is that credit card a part of, right? And so that last question is like, if you're like Comenity and Synchrony, you got to think twice, right? But they do have good cards, right? So you have to kind of think about that. I think the AAA Daily Advantage is Comenity, and so that's a great card, okay bank, and so you have to figure out for yourself if that's okay with you. You could say it's the same thing for Wells Fargo too, I guess. Just to run on Wells Fargo a little bit more. Just like Matt Clausen needs some updates on Wells, which is very, very cool. Okay, so the next one is from Dalton again. As someone who flies a lot, what would you recommend to someone with no loyalty to one airline that wants to start to earn status with any of the airlines? And so what I'll say with that is I don't really prefer airline credit cards, as I've shared in a previous video, right? I personally fly with Southwest. I fly a lot. That's how I get airline loyalty. If you don't fly a lot, that becomes an issue. But there are three ways in my mind to get loyalty with airlines. Number one is you have to fly a lot, except for Delta because they took that away. It's just based on MQDs now because all they care about is money, which is fine, but just got to call a wolf, right? They care about your money, and that's all they care about, not how much you fly with them. The second is you have to get and spend on a credit card, which is something that Delta wants you to do because they have those platinum and reserve cards to give you that MQD boost. Obviously, every other credit card, American Airlines, United, JetBlue, Southwest, you spend on the credit cards, you get points back, and then you can get to a certain point where you earn airline loyalty as well. And then the third is going to be buy as many plane tickets on one airline or use shopping portals to get there, right? And so that's kind of in my mind how you get airline loyalty, and those are the steps to take for that. For someone who does not fly a lot, I would say mid-tier airline credit cards are the way to go because those are the ones that get you basically airline status without having airline status for a pretty nominal fee, usually around $95. Okay. So the things you get with these cards typically is a first check bag free. And some cards actually give you up to 2, up to 4, up to 9 on your itinerary as well. So being that check bags cost around $35 a pop, the more people you put on that itinerary, the more money you really save. And if you round trip, you double that, right? And so that can be very good, even with one flight. And so that's why I think that would be what I would prefer to do than to try to get airline status. The second thing that's helpful is the priority boarding. So instead of being in like group, group 6 or something, you're in like group 2 for United, for example. And so that would be helpful because then you would never have to check your bag if you had a carry-on bag if you wanted to. And you can go to your seat first, and that's always a nice thing to have too. So I think that's kind of how I would address that question. Again, airline credit cards are not my favorites, but I think for those that are flying just once or twice a year, I think it is worth considering getting one just for those perks alone. So that's really great. I also want to make a big plug for the Delta Gold Card. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Delta, and I don't fly Delta, but I cannot deny that this is a very good offer at this point. So the Delta Gold personal version has a $0 intro annual fee for the first year, then $150, but you get 80,000 miles after spending 3,000 in 6 months, which is a really good deal, honestly. It's a really good way to get a lot of Delta miles really quickly. You have no annual fee until the second year, which case you could just cancel. Remember, you do have the Delta Stays credit, which is great. And so you get $100 back as a same credit if you use that Delta Stays credit. And there's ways to do that, but that's a way to just get additional value on this quote no annual fee credit card because clearly you could just cancel it the second year and not deal with that $150 annual fee. Okay. Nicopoly says, if you are checking a bag, those airline cards are worth their weight in gold just from one trip. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And also, Senator Seal Clothing says, got AA Platinum through Hilton Diamond, got JetBlue Mosaic through SAS Match, and keep it for 10K credit card spend. Only 5 to 6 times per year, but mid to upper SASs on a few airlines. Great. I mean, I think if you are able to SAS Match your way through, that is another way I didn't talk about. But yes, that's definitely a great way to navigate through that system as well. So that's super cool. Thanks for bringing it up, Standard Steel Clothing. Appreciate that. Okay. The next question is from Nicopoly, who I just did a chat on. So that's great. So let's talk about that. So it is a longer question, but we'll kind of go through it just very, very quickly. Stan, since you talk about the Altitude Reserve and the Bank of America Honor Program on a very regular basis, I would like your take on U.S. Bank Smartly Rewards, not the credit card. What about that? From my research, you will qualify for the primary tier if you sign up for Smartly Rewards. Only hold a personal credit card and deposit $20K. And so they get a lot of cashback rewards from that, cashback deals, things like that. He knows that it's a lot of money, but with Fed cutting rates, it might be advantageous to earn additional cash back at a pretty competitive yield for a savings account that might slightly out-earn a traditional high-yield savings account. Hope all is well and that you keep creating such great content. Okay, so his question is about what do I think about the U.S. Bank Smartly Rewards program as compared to the Bank of America Preferred Rewards program. And so just to kind of put the intro here. So this is what their Smart Rewards program is. There's 4 tiers: primary, plus, premium, and pinnacle. They have some stuff that is better as you go up. For the most part, in my opinion, it's the best thing they have is no ATM fees and like no surcharge fees. Um, when you get to higher levels. But the levels are starting from 20K to 50K to 100K at the highest of 250K. Um, in my opinion, I don't think there's any reason to use that. But if you wanted to use that, there are ways to get there that's good. When I did my US Bank Altitude Reserve application, I actually went to the primary tier by putting money into a CD. And I forgot the CD rate back then. It was a little bit higher than what this was here. I think it was close to 5%. But this now it's 4%, which is not great. And as you guys know, Fed's cut rates just now, so this will probably trend down soon. And the savings account has a 4.1%. So clearly, you don't want to use a CD right now with the U.S. Bank because why not just use a savings account for 4.1% as long as you have $25,000 to put there. So that's a way to get into the Smartly program with primary. But the question is about the exclusive deals too. And so I look at them. So if you're in the primary tier, you have a credit card. What are some of the deals you have? Well, anecdotally, I've looked at them between Bank of America, Chase, like US Bank. They're all about the same. They're okay, but they're not like, oh man, I really got to get me a US Bank deal, right? So one of them is this one, for example, a Southwest one that I didn't use, but it's basically earn 10% cash back up to $40 after spending $50 or more on something, right? In Southwest. So I would say, what is that? If you spend $400, you earn 10% cash back, which is it's fine. So you get $40 for $400 if you need to spend on like a flight or something. That's pretty good. And they all have these types of deals. And it kind of depends on what you think about it. You can see here from the screenshot that there are things like Viators on there. There's Bob's Discount Furniture. There's Kindle. There's things. It's not like American Express offers. I think those offers are like way better. They have a lot of like fine print, but I think the Amex offers are probably the best ones I've ever seen compared to US Bank. So I wouldn't necessarily put $25,000 into US Bank just to get these deals because you could probably get similar deals in like Chase or like Bank of America or whatever bank you have that has these deals. It's like the same. So my take is it doesn't really matter that much. I would use it if you want to increase relationship with US Bank for a credit card application. So if they're denying you or you want to be safe and you got 25K to put into a savings account for like 3 months, I would do it for that reason. There's a lot of other savings accounts out there that are better, that have a higher APY, that I would choose over US Bank's version of this savings account. And so because US Bank doesn't have a credit card rewards boost like Bank of America, that's why I think the preferred reward system is much better. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Smartly Rewards card has as well, because this is going to be integrated into the savings account, the Smartly Rewards program too. We'll see if it makes a big difference or not. I have this feeling it's not going to, but if they don't ever put any kind of boost on their rewards program, to me, it's not important. It's not going to be something that moves the needle in any big way. So Chad saying that Amex offers definitely have the best for me by far. And Yuri also saying that Chase and Citi offers are also pretty good. Absolutely. Okay, so we'll go for a break here. I think we're going to keep going though, because it's like about an hour and 20 minutes. I want to keep going through all the questions. I want to start the next section here about Marriott. Now, there were a ton of Marriott questions here. And so I'm really excited to do this because I love talking about Marriott, which is still one of my favorite hotel chains, if not my favorite hotel chain. And so let's go ahead and get started with our first question, which is from Chris. And so Chris is talking about the Marriott strategy I kind of put out last year and any kind of changes I would make to it. So I'll kind of read it out to you because it is pretty important. And once we get started, it's going to go pretty fast. So just pay attention and here we go. Hey, Stan, thank you for all your content. I wanted to get your thoughts on this Marriott strategy to maximize points and speed up the process. My plan is to get all the 4 big Marriott credit card players: Ritz, Boundless, Brilliant, and Business, as you had in your Marriott strategy video. But it would take 4 years. My thought is in year 0 to open the Brilliant with sub, Marriott Business with sub, and Chase Boundless without the sub. By year 2, I would have Brilliant Business, product change Boundless to Ritz in year one, and then you should be eligible for the welcome offer for another Chase Boundless after that. So in 2 years, you would have all 4 cards, and you would maximize sign-up bonuses by getting the Amex Marriott card sign-up bonus first. He also has a second question that's related, where he's thinking of getting a 5 credit cards by using that Amex Marriott Bonvoy card. It's not the SPG anymore, but it's called the Marriott Bonvoy card, by opening up the Bevy before the Brilliant to be eligible for the welcome offer, and then downgrading that to the Marriott SPG or the Marriott card. In that situation, you can then open up the Brilliant afterwards and leverage that card instead of downgrading it. I'm assuming the Brilliant has lifetime language, which it does, by the way. Not the Brilliant, but the Bevy. And it will have lifetime language added, which is why I would take advantage of the Bevy first. Ultimately, this will yield 2 85K and 3 35K for net certificates. Now, that's a lot of words. So I like to put this into pictures because pictures kind of, I think, say more than words. So as he mentioned, I did have this video about a year ago where I talked about having a Marriott strategy where you get 4 free nights per year. And it does take you 4 years to get there, right? And so this is kind of what that's all about. So in year 0, you open, and TCF, by the way, stands for me. Chris is going to be on the bottom to compare it to. For me, when you open the Boundless card first, you start in year 0 and you get the welcome offer for that card. You now are locked out of Amex welcome offers for Bonvoy cards. And so you have to wait 2 years to get there, or 24 months. In year 2, you then go ahead and get the Bonvoy Brilliant and Bonvoy Business cards in the same year. And you want to do that because you want to get the Brilliant before you product change to the Ritz. The reason is because once you have the Ritz card, you no longer have access to the welcome offer on the Brilliant, which is huge because, as we all know, at this point, I think it's 185K points. Very, very good offer. You don't want to miss out on that kind of offer. That would be a terrible thing. But after you get both the Brilliant and the Business, then you go ahead and product change to the Ritz-Carlton card that you had from before. And then because you are in Amex, you are now locked out of Chase cards in terms of Chase welcome offers for that. So you got to wait another 2 years to go ahead and get that Bonvoy Boundless card. And that would be pretty much what that Marriott strategy in a nutshell was from my video that I posted a little while ago. What Chris is saying is that he wants to get the Bonvoy Brilliant, Bonvoy Business, and Boundless cards all in a row. They want to get the Amex first to capitalize on that, but then the Boundless will have no welcome offer because you're no longer eligible for it. And then he did that all in 1 year. The second year, he's going to go ahead and product change that Boundless card into the Ritz-Carlton credit card, right? So you're going to have those 3 cards. Now, because you applied for the Boundless card in year 0, by the second year, he's saying that you can get the Boundless card with its welcome offer and getting that welcome offer too. And, I think that's a great way to go too, because you are getting all 4 cards in less time, actually 2 years less time. And you could maximize the bonuses. The one thing I would say about this, though, is like you mentioned earlier, is that you are missing out on that first Boundless welcome offer, which can be huge if you go, for example, this 125K that's going on right now, or that 5-night free award that's going on right now too, or not right now, but before. Those are some pretty high, hefty, really good welcome offers for a $95 annual fee card, right? So I think it's not worth it to give that up because the Ritz-Carlton doesn't have a welcome offer attached to it. However, if you want to go fast, this is a great way to do it. The strategy that I put out initially is not for someone who wants to go fast. It's for someone who wants to do this alongside other credit card strategies and do it in a more controlled and patient manner. And patience is not everyone's strong suit. I understand that. It's sometimes not in my strong suit, but I think that's the reason why I put it out in that way. It's going to make more sense as we go through more of these Marriott questions about why going slowly may be more beneficial when we get to these things. But I don't have a problem with the way he's doing it. I think it's fine. I think it's a great way to get all 4 cards in 2 years. So there's my answer to that. The second thing is going to be the second question, right? So the second question is, what if we get the Bevy first? And so I think the Bevy right now has a welcome offer of $155,000 for some level of spend and some level of time, which is fine. So you will be able to get that welcome offer. Then you get the Brilliant, doing that order because there is family language on the Marriott cards. Then get the Business, and then you get the Boundless. So you're going to just basically pound the Marriott cards the whole year, which is, if you want to do that and you love Marriott that much and you want to get that many points, you can certainly do that, right? But after you do that in year 0, what he wants to do is product change both of them, the Bevy card to the Marriott Bonvoy card, which is that card in front, and then you have the Boundless card to the Ritz-Carlton card. So that's how you get that second one as well. And then after that, same thing before, Boundless card, you gotta wait 2 years, get that second card, and get that card year 2. You could certainly do that too. Again, you're missing out on that first Boundless welcome offer. You have to make sure you don't get in pop-up jail because that's also a very common thing. You have to have 3 slots open in your Amex credit card lineup, which is hard because most people have 5. And so I think if you have an issue with that, like you have too many credit cards with American Express, you have to cancel them or downgrade them or whatever. And so that becomes an issue as well. But certainly if you want to do it that way, I think it's still a valid way to go. That's kind of what he presented. And again, I think it's a great strategy, but it's meant for those who want to go super fast to get all the cards. And you're really focused on Merit for those first 2 years. The top version that I mentioned is really a matter of being patient, and you can integrate things like the Chase Ink cards. You can like go for like a Hilton card if you want to. It's more slow and you can progress in a better way, in my opinion, because there's more than just Marriott welcome offers out there, unless you really want to really get into Marriott super, super fast. So that was kind of my answer to that question. And this is kind of like a summary slide of what I was talking about. So basically, the way I do it with my strategy takes you 4 years, a lot longer, not going to lie. 285Ks, 235Ks, effective annual fee, $720, right? And then you have Chris's first strategy, getting the same amount of free rewards, same effective annual fee, but you're just missing a boundless offer, but you're getting 2 years. So is time more important? Is money more important? It depends on kind of what you're looking at there and what your situation is going to be. And so for Chris's second question, he's getting an additional 35K, a little bit higher effective annual fee because of the end. But remember, you have to consider you're missing out on a boundless offer. You are also spending $295 on a bevy annual fee, which is kind of annoying because like there's no statement credits to deal with that. You're also adding though a bevy offer, so there's going to be a plus and minus there, and I didn't do the exact math on that, but that's something you should think about if you want to go that route too. And so certainly very good strategies. I'm not going to say that they're wrong or better or worse. It just depends on what you're looking for. And I just want to emphasize that the Merit strategy that I advocate for is the one that is more slow and controlled, so you can do other things with your credit card life than just focus on just Marriott. And so that was that question. RemGB was also in the house earlier. Hope you're still here. But if not, we're going to go over your question now. He's more of a Fairfield Inn and Hampton Inn kind of person. Doesn't like spending a lot of money on hotels. As long as he gets a free breakfast, he's happy. He is debating, though, about the boundless 125K offer versus the Bonvoy Brilliant 185K offer that I can downgrade after year 1. He does not like free night certificates that have a fixed expiry date because he rarely gets to use them for outsized value. He would much rather have points that don't expire. Which one do I recommend that he goes for? His player 2 is also eligible for a boundless, and I am for Brilliant as he already has the boundless for more than 2 years. Looks like the boundless welcome offer is better value for the money. So I don't know if there was something that I missed, RemGB, but I did the math, and I think the boundless has a less value than the Brilliant if you took it from a per dollar perspective. So if you spend $5,000 for the boundless welcome offer, that's 25 points you get per dollar. Whereas if you get the 185K bonus points, you actually get 30.833 points per dollar spent because it's $6,000. The thing that's different about these two cards is that one of them ends in 3 months, which is the boundless, and then one of them ends in 6 months, which is the Brilliant. And so, in my opinion, I think the Brilliant is a better offer, not only because you're getting a better return on spend, but you're also getting that elusive platinum status for, easy, whatever reason. You're getting a great welcome offer on top of that, the highest points, I think, ever on a Marriott Bonvoy card. And you love points. You don't like the free night certificate. You're really all about the points. Is a boundless offer bad? No, I think it's a great time to apply for it if you really don't mind missing out on the 5 free night offer and want to go for points. I think that's totally fine. But from your perspective, I would go ahead and get the Brilliant welcome offer because that would be, in my opinion, the better way to go. The next question comes from Ian. And so Ian had another question about his strategy with Marriott 2 with Bora Bora because he wants to go to Bora Bora and stay in a St. Regis. And so let's read his question now. His question is, he's planning a trip to Bora Bora in 2026 and would have to stay at the St. Regis. He needs around 400K to 500K award points for the stay. I advise him on the best card strategy with Marriott to help secure that many points and to achieve status. I'm currently at 624, but open to adding new cards, including business. I don't have any Marriott brand cards yet that would provide Marriott status. Thanks for help. He also replied below this comment and said he will be under 524 4 months before the trip. It sounds like he's not going to be under 524 this entire time. That's at least what I got from his reply. And also, he said his player two is open to one personal and one business. So let's see what the best way to do this would be. So, quick points about his situation first. He's over chase 524, and so you can't get any chase cards. So the boundless, the bountiful, and the bold, they're all out. Um, will you be under 524 before you go? Yes, it's 4 months before. Do you want to try to get a card before that, get the welcome offer, book the trip 4 months or at least 3 months before you go? Probably not. You probably want to book it a little bit before that. So I'm just going to go ahead and say no chase cards, right? So there's also no FNAs, right? So the reason why I say no FNA is because if you look at the timeline, you have to get anniversary free night awards, right? It's because Marriott doesn't give you it right away once you get the card. You have to wait a year first to get that anniversary free night award. So if you get it, like, for example, let's pretend you get it in January 2025, you won't get the award till January 2026, and then you have to use it within that 1 year period. And so there's a lot of like timing situations going on. And so I think it may be better in the situation to get and use points for this. Another thing that you mentioned is that you have a player two, which is good because you can use player two mode to get more points by referring and cross referring to each other. And so this is the way I would think to get the most amount of points in the quickest way possible for your trip. Now, having said this, I know that the Marriott welcome offers are expiring soon. So you may not have time to do this at this point. However, they do come up every so often. So I'm not concerned about another good welcome offer coming up for the Amex Marriott cards if you were to miss out on the offers now. But I'm going to use the offers from now to show you how you could possibly do this. And so the first thing I want to say is that these offers now that expire on October 2nd, which is about a week and a half from now, is $155K for the bevy and $185K for the brilliant. Like we mentioned before, the bevy, you have to get that first and the brilliant second because there is family language. I personally would never advocate getting the bevy card because I think it's a useless card. However, in this situation, it may prove to be something that's useful for your situation, right? So knowing those two welcome offers and those numbers, let's move on to the next strategy. So the first thing you want to do is apply for the bevy. You're going to get 155K points. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to refer your player two for the bevy again. So now you got two bevies. So you got two 155K awards, like in terms of like the amount of points you get. The third thing you're going to do is you're going to have a player two refer you back for the brilliant. So I don't have a bevy, so I don't know what the point referral is. The business referral bonus right now is 20K points, and the brilliant referral bonus is 40K points. And so it kind of depends on like what that is. I'm assuming it's 20K, but I don't know. But if she refers you for the brilliant successfully, and you get the card, that's 185K plus a 20K referral. And because it's, I believe if I go back here, it's 5,000 per bevy for minimum spend requirement and 6,000 per brilliant. That's going to be a total of $16,000 total. Now, assuming you do the most conservative math and you own the 2X category, you'll have obviously 3X and 6X somewhere around there. You'll get 32K points after that. So you actually end up getting 547,000 Bonvoy points for $1,800 in annual fees and $16,000 in minimum spend over 6 months. Now, first of all, I want to point out that's a lot of money if you just talk about that up front. And I'm not going to say that that's small or anything. And to do it that way, like back to back, is very hard to do to kind of combine all those welcome offers and those minimum spend requirements. You can spread this out if you want. You don't have to do this all at once, but you do have time to get to where you need to go. But that would be, in my opinion, the quickest and easiest way to get that many points to where you need to go for Bora Bora and still have enough time to book it well in advance from when you want to go in 2026. This also I want to point out too that this is kind of proves how free travel really isn't that free. You do have to put in some work for it. right? You're not spending, you're not overspending, but you are spending to a point where you are using money to get these points. And so that is kind of what I would recommend in terms of having your strategy to get between 400 and 500 points. Actually, this one gives you more, but regardless of what the welcome offers are when you do this, make sure to use player two mode to refer back and forth to get those extra points and try to apply for these cards when you have an elevated offer going on so you can take advantage of the increased points you get from that as well. So, hope that answers your question, but that is kind of how I would do that. Okay, so next question is my man Spencer. So he left this one last night. I want to go over this one because it's a good question. We had this conversation last year about his plan for Marriott cards with the Boundless being product change to the Ritz Carlton. So his question is, would I recommend I product change my Boundless to the Ritz card? The main debate lies in the fact that I already have the CSR and need to keep the one open for the Chase Sapphire Lounge in my home airport in Austin. Would love to hear your thoughts. Keep killing it, my man. Spencer, you are killing it, my man. You keep up the good work. I really enjoyed, by the way, that members only live stream that you had. So definitely do more of those. And those who haven't checked out Spencer's like membership, he does some really cool things for members. And so definitely check out the membership. He does member only lives, so you really kind of get into the nitty gritty. And this is actually, I think, where this question came out from. We also have a big super chat from my boy Luke's Points and Miles. Thank you so much, sir, for that super chat. We did go over your question at the very beginning, so if you want to, go back to that later on, in the VOD, definitely check it out. But it was a good question. I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to doing our banter style duo lives in the future. We'll definitely be in contact in the future about that soon. Good. So let's go ahead and talk about Spencer's question. So the Boundless is number one. There's a reason why I say when you start the Marriott strategy, you should start with the Boundless. This kind of goes back to Chris's question too. The reason why you have the Boundless is because you have options when you get to that year one mark. You can keep the Boundless, or you could do two things. You could product change to the Ritz Carlton card and go to the Bold card if you don't like it. So I will explain to you what I did when I first started with Marriott. So I got the Boundless card, I think, in 2015, 2016, and I was staying in Marriott like occasionally. But there was a point in time where I was doing a lot of work and I wasn't really staying in Marriott anymore. And so I actually had the Boundless card for a couple of years, and I product changed it to the Bold for a while because it just wasn't really a card I wanted to pay money for because I wasn't going to use the 35K for that certificate. However, after I started to travel more and realized I wanted to go on more luxury trips and had more bandwidth and more funds to do that, I decided to product change the Bold to the Ritz Carlton. And the reason why I say the Balance is number one when you do the Marriott strategy is because it gives you the flexibility to choose your own adventure at the time you are in. For example, in Spencer's case, he's a young kid, a lot of opportunity, a lot of things he can do with his life. He can choose if he wants to go luxury credit card or go down to the Bold card if he doesn't want to do Marriott at this point in time, or keep the Boundless if he wants to use a 35K for a certificate, if he needs that one, for example, every single year. The way I see the Ritz Carlton card, it's really a play, right? It's a play for two things. An 85K anniversary Freon award. It's also a play for a party pass, which is super powerful, by the way, because it has access to Sapphire lounges and unlimited guests and authorized users, right? So as we all know, the Priority Pass membership on the Ritz Carlton, you get one with every authorized user. Authorized users on the Ritz Carlton card is free. Each Priority Pass on your individual one and each of your authorized users have unlimited guests. So that is a very powerful pass that you don't see very much anymore, especially with all the changes. And so it used to be super powerful with restaurant access, but that was done back in July. But I digress. So what's the situation with Spencer? Well, Spencer talked about the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and he has this card, right? And so this card has two things that I think is really important for Spencer. He has access to the 1.5 Ultimate Rewards points on that card, and he can use that for redeeming. And he's actually said in the past that he has used this for a lot of Southwest trips or for hotel trips or things like that. And so he uses this on a regular basis. So it's important for him to have it. The second is that he has a Sapphire Terrace lounge access because he does live in Austin. And so because of that, he needs to have access to this lounge, which is not, unfortunately, on the Ritz-Carlton card. And so, like I said in the previous slide, if Spencer, you don't want to have an 85K free night award and you don't think you need the priority pass because you need the one from the Sapphire Reserve, I don't think the Ritz-Carlton card is the best for you. I think it's only good for you if you want to start building up that Marriott strategy and getting more 85K free night awards. And you obviously want to do, if you're doing that, you want to also get the Brilliant card first anyways, right? So I think this card is something that I would just hold off on for now because you're good with this Chase Sapphire Reserve. For me, the Ritz-Carlton card is a replacement Chase Sapphire Reserve. That's the way I look at it because I don't need the priority pass on the Sapphire Reserve because I got one on the Ritz-Carlton card. I don't fly to Austin super often. I probably should visit you more often, obviously. But, because of I don't go there that often, I don't need that access, whereas you do because that's your home airport. I also am a Marriott loyalist. I go to Marriott's often, so the 85K free night award does come in handy for me. And so I can definitely use it every year. And only you can answer for yourself if that's going to be worth it for you too. It may in the future, but maybe at this point in time, it doesn't. And so the beauty of having the boundless first is you have that option to choose. And so that's why I'm going to go back all the way. I don't even know if I can do that, but let's see if I can go back all the way to my strategy. That's why I advocate for this kind of year-long 4-year strategy, because you may think you want something at the beginning, but it may change on in the end. And so because it's so drawn out, you're able to figure out what's going on in your life, what your priorities are, how you're traveling, what's your financial status like, what you want to be doing, what are your goals. You can do all that while doing the strategy, and it's always going to be there for you. People say that, well, maybe the Ritz-Carlton card won't be there in the future. I don't agree with that. I think it'll be there in some form. It may change, like the annual fee may go up. There may be some different, benefits here and there, but I think it's here to stay. And so I hope that answers your question, Spencer. I want to make sure that I got that in for you. I know that it was a big question on your mind, but if I were you, I wouldn't product change their Ritz-Carlton just yet. I would just wait. You have all the time in the world. You're a young kid. You've got a bright future. Just keep doing what you're doing, and I think you will definitely find out in the end what's going on. I do want to keep going with the slides though, because we're almost towards the end. This section, I had a bunch of YouTube type questions, so they're not really related to credit cards, but if you want to know me more as a person, these are good questions for that. Oh, and Spencer also says, really good takes here. I agree with you, especially with all the other annual fee cards I still plan to add. Thanks so much for your advice, brother. Yeah, of course. No problem. Yeah, I think you have enough going on your plate, and that you can always product change your boundless through its after the first year, whatever you want. So you can do it whenever you want. Don't feel pressure to choose it at the exact 1-year mark. Just enjoy it while you have it. Or if you don't want it, take it out of the bold. It's going to be fine. So the first question was from my boy, Monty. Monty asks, hey, Stan, you're so consistent with your quality output on YouTube. Do you have any tips to share on this topic? And which parts of the video creation process, idea generation, editing, do you find the most challenging to stay consistent with? I will tell you, YouTube and all you guys here that are creators can really resonate with this. It is a job. It's work. It's not something you just get up and just do. You have to really put a lot of work into it, and that's the way I see it as well. And so for me, I haven't really read this book, but I've heard this quote 100 times. This book by Atomic Habits by James Clear has this quote where it says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." And I think that's really important for all aspects of your life, not just YouTube, because if you create a system for yourself, it's easier for you to do something and get that done in an efficient way. And so this is my system for YouTube. And this is the reason why it's there, because I've been doing this for so long. These tasks used to take me a lot longer, sometimes even twice as long as the numbers you see here. But at this point, I've been doing this for almost 3 years. And this is my system. Every week, I do these things. I script for 2 hours. I film for 1 hour. I edit for about 5 hours. And I create a thumbnail and post my YouTube in 1 hour. And then I also do 3 shorts, which takes about 3 hours for all those previous 4 things. The shorts by themselves just take 3 hours altogether. And the filming of the shorts takes about 15 minutes. You asked about what's the most hard thing for me to do. And actually, that for me is filming. And the reason for that is because I travel so much. And the only way I can film is when I'm at home in my YouTube studio. Now, that's not true because I'm here on my MacBook Pro right now just doing this live stream, and it's totally fine. However, I would like to use my YouTube studio when I can because I have my nicer microphone there, my lighting's all setup's all there. I prefer to film in my studio if I can. Once I film, I can do every other task on my computer anywhere, on a plane, in a hotel, in my other place in Sacramento, like all the stuff. And so that's kind of the hardest thing for me just based on my own situation. So I try to film when I'm at home, obviously, but that is a limiting factor in this process. But for me to create one video and 3 shorts per week takes me about 12 hours per week, which is about 48 hours per month, which is not small. It is a part-time job. And I'm getting paid like a part-time job. So it's fine. But again, this is the system I've created for myself. And so if you can create a system for yourself of how you do things, I think that's going to really put a lot of clarity in how you are able to be more consistent. Of course, life happens, things happen. I'm going on a honeymoon soon in about 2 months. And so I probably will have to slow down my creation at that point because I just want to enjoy time with my wife in my honeymoon, and go to Asia for the first time in a long time. And I think you have to prioritize life too. So that is really, really important. And so from that perspective, that is what I would say for that particular question. Hope that helps you in kind of in your YouTube journey as well. I know you put out a lot of great content too. So if you haven't checked out Monty's channel, definitely check it out. We have Big Tony. So Tony asks, do you have any hobbies or things you'd like to pursue outside of YouTube, credit cards, and your job? The answer is I don't, and that's kind of sad to say. I do have things like I go skiing, I go to the gym, I go running. 2 things I'm doing right now. After this is over, I'm going to go to the Apple Store and pick myself up a new iPhone 16 Pro. Just side note, I have an iPhone 15 Pro. That battery life on that phone sucks so much that I really just need something a little bit better. I don't want to get a Pro Max because it's just big and I'm not a big person. Like it's kind of a larger phone. And so I'd rather get a 16 Pro because of a higher battery. So I like tech, I guess. And then I also bought this new game called Frostpunk 2. I don't know if you guys are gamers out there. I'm a big fan of city builders. And so I played this game last night. I love that game. It's so much fun. So I hope to play that game a little bit more today. Maybe I'll do some YouTubing on the side as well. But I definitely play games too when I have time. Just so you guys know, I use the US Bank Ultra Reserve to get that iPhone Pro 16, or iPhone 16 Pro. So that's great. They offer Apple Wallet, obviously, when you buy that. So that was awesome. And then for the Frostpunk 2, I bought it on Steam and Steam codes as online shopping. So I use Bank of America customized cash rewards for that 5.25% cash back on that card. Oh, Monty's here. Monty's been listening along. Thanks for the answer, Stan. Oh, of course, Monty, no problem. Ooh, Spencer Johnson has an iPhone 16 Pro as well. That's awesome. All right. I got the black version. I heard that the Desert Titanium is like the one to get this year, the color, but I'm a boring guy, so I just take black, and it's always the case anyways, so I just get a black one. It's totally fine. I got the 256 gigabyte version just because I looked at my phone now and I only have used like 30 gigs of space. I don't really use my phone for stuff, really. It's just mostly for YouTube and watching stuff, and so I didn't think I needed a bigger phone, but some people may have gotten more. Rio B says got the 16 Pro yesterday, upgraded from the iPhone 12. It's night and day. Yeah, my upgrade was 11 Pro to 15 Pro because I had that phone for so many years. It was just a great phone, but I was waiting for the USB-C change, to be honest. And when that happened, I was like, this is the time to do it. But then the battery sucks so bad. I was like, oh my God, what did I just do to myself? So hopefully the 16 Pro is going to be better. Eric Harper, US Bank offering rewards in Apple. Oh, I should look into that. I didn't actually purchase the phone yet, so maybe I'll just hop off and just check that offer real fast if it's there. I appreciate it, Eric. Thanks so much for the tip for that. And then Spencer's same as me, went black too. Awesome. And Nicholas says he upgrades his iPhone every year, but he truly feels now it's getting more and more stale. Very true. Don Kim says, how about folding phones? I'm not a big fan of folding phones. I think it's cool, but I had a folding phone when folding phones were a thing, like back when you actually had flip phones like that. That was my folding phone. I'm kind of over that now, which is fine. Matt Clausen's going to get the 16 Max Pro. Matt Clausen, you're a big guy. Like, you're tall and you got big hands. So I think for you, the way you handle the 16 Pro Max is the way I handle the 16 Pro. Like, I think I've tried the 15 Max Pro and I actually needed 2 hands to type because my hands are super small. And so that's why I have to go the 15 Pro or the 16 Pro, even though I prefer to have a bigger battery life. It's, one of those, pros and cons situation. I have a 15 Pro Max, the battery sucks ass too. Yeah, the batteries need to be better. I'll be straight. honest. Scott C has 11, probably foot 11. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yuri has a Samsung S20 Ultra, which is the best Samsung phone ever. I think they're up to S24 now, but Samsung makes some great phones, which is really, really cool. So just to finish off of Tony's question, my hobby is YouTube, right? Basically, I have a full-time job. I have to do my full-time job and then come home and do YouTube on the side. Um, I don't have much time for other hobbies because the thing that I want to do that's not a hobby is spend time with my family, spend time with my wife, spend time with friends. That's going to take priority over any other hobbies that's for me. And I think that becomes a little more, if I think more into the future, and I know some of you are parents, so you can relate to this. I'm honestly speaking just off of this, what I think, because I don't have kids yet. But, you know, I would like to be able to spend as much time as possible with my family, especially when we start having kids. And I'm trying to figure out ways to have more time to do YouTube while that is in place. Because I talked with, and I'm sure many of you met Josh Butler in New Orleans when you were there back a couple weeks ago. He was a very constantly, he put a lot of videos before he had his daughter. And he did, I think, which was the right move. His move was to stop doing YouTube to spend more time with his daughter. And I think that is kind of what I would probably do too if I started to have children. Just because I know that spending time with children, especially in their formative years, is so important. And as much as I love doing YouTube, I love spending time doing all this for you guys and talk about credit card, which is a fun thing to talk about, and really getting the best value for the points you get. You know, I have to prioritize what's important to me first, and that's going to be, if I have children, that's going to be my children going to come first. And if I have time for YouTube, I'll do it. If I don't, I don't. I'm trying to figure out now, while I don't have children, how can I make it easier for me to do YouTube and how I can do YouTube faster so I will have time for it in the future. And that's a struggle I have to deal with and figure out for myself. But that's why my hobbies are really only limited to YouTube. And so because of that, that is where I'm at with hobbies. And I think that actually covers everything, because I think we are all done with our slides. So I'll go back to my face here. And so if you have any last minute credit card questions, I think we were pretty good on time here. I apologize for not getting to some of the questions in the chat, but now is a good time to leave them if you had any, because we have about, I would say 10, 15 minutes left over just to do that. You know, again, I'm going to get the iPhone 16 Pro soon, so that's going to be exciting, and kind of set that up as well. I will be making any kind of US Bank Smartly credit card video when it comes out, obviously. I'm also going to document a lot of the Southwest cards I apply for. I'm actually interested to see kind of how me and Spencer move along in our Southwest application journeys, because we're going to be doing kind of similar strategies, but I'm going to figure out what's going to be, you know, the best one for me versus him. So I'm going to see what that's going to be like. Again, any questions in the chat from anybody at all? Any credit card questions, last minute things here? I don't see anyone else in the chat at this point, and I hope that I answered everyone's question to the best of my ability. Don can ask, is that a picture of vegetable varieties? Yes, it is a picture. The one on the, I guess on your right here, is going to be a picture of vegetables. My wife loves vegetables, and she keeps trying to make me eat my vegetables, because when we first started dating, I didn't really do that. I just ate meat because I love meat. But she loves vegetables. And so a lot of the food I eat now is with vegetables. And there's a reason why when they say you get married, you live longer. And it's probably because you have wives that make you eat vegetables. So yes, she loves vegetables. That's what that picture is all about. Candace, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate you. I haven't seen the comments recently, but I know when you do leave comments, they're very, very well informed. And I really hope that I can answer your questions. And I thank you so much for the super sticker. I mean, just those two, you know, $20 super chats from you and Uncle Luke have really made this a really great live stream. And thank you so much for that. And so I hope I can answer any questions for you. Of course, anything at all, you can DM me. You can always leave chat message or a comment down in the description in the community pages or any of my videos as well. Spencer says, I still got to figure that out too. We're in the same boat with Southwest. I would just say that I think applying in the first week of October for those elevate offers is going to be the right way to go, because that's 80,000 is what you'd get on the performance business card. typically. So having $80,000 on a personal card for only 3K in spend, that's like money. I think the question between me and you is going to be, are you going to go priority or are you going to go plus or premier? I think you said plus from before. Don't tell me yet. I want to be surprised about what you're going to be doing when you with your watch me apply, but I want to see kind of what you end up doing. Spurb asks, what's the best Marriott property you stayed at? The best one I've stayed out so far, I would have to say, I had this slide little while ago. It was in DC. There was a Gaylord Hotel and Resort. That was a fantastic property. I love that property so much. I had a balcony that was indoors, overlooking like a little like mini town in like the lobby of the hotel. It was a big room. It was a comfortable room. I am going to be staying at a Marriott property that's pretty nice in Tokyo. So I'm hoping that one will supersede the one in Washington, D.C., but we will have to see. And Spencer says, yeah, he said 424, got to go business. Oh, I know 524 strikes again. That totally sucks. But hopefully we'll have to see what our strategies look like. I will be, actually, what's today, 21st? In 3 days, I will be 324. So I am all set to go with my Chase 524 status. And so I am super pumped for that. Dalton says the Ritz Monterey Bay is amazing. That's outstanding. I've never been there, but I should try that because Monterey Bay is actually where I proposed to my now wife. We stayed at the Clement, which is the Intercontinental IHG in that area, but I didn't get a chance to stay at the Ritz Carlton, so I'll have to check that one out. Yuri says the St. Regis Bora Bora. I will take that into account, Yuri. I think our question, one question we had actually had to do with St. Regis Bora Bora, so I can see why that was the case. And then Vince Alvarez says Grand Sheraton Luxury Collection in Bangkok has an amazing soft product. That's going to be awesome. I'm actually doing a lot of IHGs in Thailand for my honeymoon, and so we'll see how that goes too. Looks like you'll be staying at the Edition West Hollywood a couple of weeks. Awesome. There's a lot of great hotels in LA, and hopefully you're able to come here when it's a nice day. And of course, it's gonna get colder out on the East Coast, but over to the West Coast, still nice, bright, and sunny. Okay. Rio B says, I'm a college student and find your content helpful. Thanks for what you do. Of course. Spurb says St. Regis Bangkok was amazing when I went. And I was actually going to stay there, but I decided to go to the Intercontinental instead. So maybe next time I'll go to St. Regis in Bangkok and see what that's all about. And of course, after I go on my honeymoon and I kind of take all the pictures, kind of like in the beginning of the live stream where I put like my JetBlue business class experience, I'll do something similar in the live stream just to show you what I booked, like how I booked it. And also I'll do a full-length video on that, which I don't typically do on my channel, but because I travel so infrequently, I think it's going to be very interesting to see kind of what the point redemptions are, what I thought of each property, kind of those sorts of things. And I hope you guys all enjoy it. But it looks like we're in about 2 hours now, so we'll stop the live stream here. I really appreciate all of you for coming. Thank you so much for spending time with me and the rest of the community. If you had any questions about anything, I'm always here to answer them for you. Again, we'll do these live streams about once a month. As usual, I'm also going to try to do some live streams with Luke as well to do that more of a tag team approach in terms of answering credit card questions and see differences of opinion. Because I think the differences of opinion is where we get the most learning from. And so because we both have similar but different styles in how we do things, I think it's going to be a great show. And of course, doing these shows on my own is also helpful because I can really focus on the questions you leave me in the chat as well as in the community post as well. So hope you enjoy your Saturday. Have a great one. And we will I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.